So let's talk about true love this morning. Did you know that true love is gospel-driven? The letter to the Philippians is remarkable when you consider the fact that Paul is writing to the church in Philippi from prison, and he's seeking to encourage them. He says in verse 4 that he is making his prayer with joy. Verse 6 is the familiar, "He who began a good work in you will complete it at the day of Jesus Christ." Now verse 7 is not as familiar, but it continues this amazing theme of encouragement from the one in prison to the church at liberty. "So it is right that I should feel as I do about all of you, for you have a special place in my heart. You share with me the special favor of God, both in my imprisonment and in defending and confirming the truth of the good news." Paul says it's right for him to feel this way about the believers in Philippi because they share the special favor of God. Now, exactly what does Paul mean by that? I think it's more than just being saved. I think Paul is saying that the grace he experienced from God in all the success of his ministry, the Philippians have a share in that because of how they supported his ministry. They went out of their way to support him, specifically financially, but really it was way more than financial support. They had a vested interest in Paul's ministry because they loved him, and Paul loved them. That's why he said, "You have a special place in my heart." The relationship between the Apostle Paul and the church in Philippi, it was real, it was intimate, and it was a very strong bond. There was a connection between them that was beyond mutual respect. It was the bond of love. It really is true that when you love someone, their experiences become your experiences. You celebrate the successes of your family, right? In many ways, their successes feel like your successes because you love them so much. But it's also true that their pain becomes your pain. Their hurt becomes your hurt. We've had several deaths back to back in our church this last couple of weeks, and while theologically we understand that everybody's eventually going to die, when people you know and love are grieving, it just breaks your heart to see them in such pain. At the end of the day, there's only so much you can do for someone who's grieving. And your words, they feel totally inadequate because you know there's nothing you can say that will truly stop their pain. Sometimes the pain of others, it'll keep you up at night. You're constantly thinking about what they're going through. And eventually, their suffering becomes your suffering. Paul told the church at Rome, "Weep with those who weep." And that was the relationship that Paul shared with the church in Philippi. That's what Paul meant when he said they shared his imprisonment. His imprisonment was their imprisonment. That's how close they were. Now, normally, you think of such a bond as reserved only for biological family. But Christians share something much deeper than biology. We share the redemption that is found in Jesus Christ. We share the grace of God. We share a perfect future in heaven. We share the gospel. The gospel is the glue that holds believers together. Paul says the Philippians shared in defending and confirming the truth of the gospel. The Philippians were just as ready to contend for the gospel as Paul was. Why? Because they understood the power of the gospel. They knew how the gospel changed lives, and that made it worth contending for. Paul and the Philippians were willing to defend and confirm the gospel because they understood its power. That power of transforming lives is the same power that binds them together. Shared political views, shared passions like saving the whales, that can only bring you so close for so long. But a shared faith and hope in the gospel of Jesus Christ is a bond for eternity. Lord, thank you for those who share with me your special favor. Help us today to both defend and confirm the truth of the good news. Amen. God bless you. See you tomorrow.